The Kansas City Chiefs recently got all of us back in our feels by signing Ezapole, the preseason fan favorite of, well, a lot of the kingdom, but yours truly in particular. You can go back and check out those videos if you weren't here then. But a lot of people felt that way about Ezapole, and a lot of people were surprised when Mike Pennel ended up not making the cut for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think that basically what was going on there was it was just a numbers crunch. I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with Mike Pennel. He certainly, at the time, seemed to take it otherwise on social media, and it was a question of whether or not the Chiefs thought that they could get better pass rushing stuff out of Mike Pennel than they could Jerry Tillery, and it seemed that the answer at the time was no, and Omar Norman-Lott was going to make this team regardless, so it became a numbers crunch as far as what a player can do for the team was concerned. Because remember, you have those linebackers behind you that can clean up everything that you may or may not indiscriminately decide to tackle. If you're Chris Jones, Chris Cornell, not much of a football player, but boy, could that guy sing. But also, you have, like I said, you have the linebackers there, but there was not a whole lot of pass rush production. So you kind of had to roll the dice and go with the more athletic defensive tackle in Jerry Tillery, plus your rookie in Omar Norman-Lott. Now, obviously, it did not work out this season for Omar Norman-Lott because his season has ended. And so, the Kansas City Chiefs have brought back a former defensive tackle. I am all over the place today, guys. I apologize. But at the conclusion of this video, I'll go over why I don't think that this is necessarily the last move they make. Because I think you hear about something like this and you think, oh, well, the Chiefs have a problem pop up and all of a sudden they're doing the same thing that they always do. Who have we had on the team before? Just grab him. I don't think that is necessarily the only thing going on here, but we get the following from Arrowhead Pride. In an article titled "Chiefs Make It Official, Announce Re-Signing of Mike Pennel, Kansas City has brought the defensive tackle back for his third stint with the team," from Arrowhead Pride by John Dixon. In the article, they say John Dixon says the following: "To make room on their active roster, Kansas City released defensive tackle Malik Herring, who has been a game day inactive for all but 2 games this season." So that was the easy roster move in order to bring Mike Pennel back. Now, Malik Herring called a defensive tackle here. Malik Herring is more of an edge than a defensive tackle. So you were weakening an already weak position group and adding a skill that you don't necessarily need at the defensive tackle spot to the defensive tackle group. So this is not off the top the strongest thing. But Chris Jones, not Chris Cornell, has said many times that Mike Pennel is sort of the beating heart of that defensive line. I think if you were looking for a corollary on the offense, it would be like Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe not the fastest wide receiver in the NFL at this point in time. Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe not running the most precise routes, but he does all the dirty work, and he is a high morale guy. It seems that is what Mike Pennel was for the defensive line. So let's look soberly at what it is we are getting here. So these are the snap counts for Mike Pennel. And you see, oh yeah, I just got this now. 2019 for the Kansas City Chiefs, played 154 snaps of defense. That's a terrible decision. Then, the next season, played 320 snaps. Last season for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's funny because it was the same 320 reps. He has never crossed 400 snaps in a season. He has often risen above 100 snaps in a season. So you're looking at a guy who's going to play between, call it 125 and 330 reps. He's already played 133 of those reps for the Cincinnati Bengals. So, in 8 games this season, he saw, what would you say there, 133 divided by 320, 260 is, he's seen about 40% of the reps that he saw all last season through 8 games so far this year. 0 starts for the Bengals. So he's not playing a ton of football this year, which is probably good because you're looking at a 330-pound man who is 34 years old, who is in his 12th season in the NFL. So any bit of football that you could not have him on the field benefits the late season. The wear and tear of things gets to these players. And I don't think we have any specifics on contract details yet, though I don't imagine it is. I imagine it's probably a veteran minimum. So here's what he's done so far this year. In those 133 snaps, he has 15 tackles, 4 of them solo, 11 are assisted, 0 QB hits. So that's kind of what you were expecting from Mike Pennel. 1 tackle for loss. That is it. That's it. You weren't expecting too much more. After all, he has but 1, 2, 5 sacks in his entire career, with 3 of them coming last year, lining up next to Chris Jones. So you were not expecting a whole lot of pass rush productivity so far this year. In the, 6 games that he played, Omar Norman Lott had 20% of Mike Pennel's career career sack number. But you are looking at a guy that can make some noise at the defensive tackle spot. You're looking at right here in the meat of his career. Now, talking about defensive tackles and mentioning Chris Jones, I hate to use a phrase like looking at the meat, but 6 consecutive seasons where he had 20-plus tackles. Not massive numbers, but productive numbers. You're looking at that point at 1.5 tackles per game. So what are we comparing him to as far as upgrading this unit? Ooh, another entendre. Overall, he has from PFF a 61.3 score or grade this season, a 60.1 run defense score, and a 53.9 pass rush score. How 60 and 53.9 add up to be 61.3 when you divide by 2 is beyond me. But again, you're looking at those, do they list it exactly here? Yeah, 133. You're looking at 133 snaps, all the same there. You're looking at someone who has 2 pressures on the season, 2 hurries on the season, and that's kind of it as far as useful statistics here. You're going to compare that to Jerry Tillery, because Jerry Tillery is the other defensive tackle. 54.3 overall grade, a 53.8 run defense grade, and a 55.4 pass rush grade. This is on 143 total snaps, so about as apples to apples as you're going to get. So on 10 more snaps, he is grading out 7 points worse overall. He is grading... Mike Pennel is 7 points better than Jerry Tillery. Mike Pennel is 7 points better at run defense. Mike Pennel is 1 point worse, half a point worse, at pass rush. Now, how do they put that together when what I'm about to show you? We go back up here. 2 total pressures here for Mike Pennel. 10 total pressures for Jerry Tillery. We have 2 total hurries for Mike Pennel. 8 total hurries for Jerry Tillery. You have 0 sacks for Mike Pennel. 1 sack for Jerry Tillery. So how it is that all of this production translates to just a half a point better in grading, I will never understand. It seems sometimes that the grading for PFF is a black hole sun. Brought it around full circle. Are you proud of me? So, this is a defensive tackle in Mike Pennel who is playing overall better than is Jerry Tillery this year, but Jerry Tillery is still getting after the quarterback at a higher rate than is Mike Pennel. All in all, what this is to say is that you're not getting a needle mover. You're getting a guy who can come in and give you quality reps. You're getting a middle reliever of the defensive tackle position. That's fine. That's okay. You have to have those. The issue is it's not what the Kansas City Chiefs need, and the double issue is you're stuck with him now. He's yours, baby. There's no cutting him anymore. Part of the reason, the rumored reason, that John Dorsey is no longer the Kansas City Chiefs general manager is a story about Jeremy Maclin. Apparently, Jeremy Maclin, I don't remember exactly the story, he was called either at his wedding or at his friend's wedding and informed at a wedding that he was cut. That was how John Dorsey ran things, and Andy Reid didn't appreciate it. At least partially, that seems to be why John Dorsey was let go from the Kansas City Chiefs. Brett Veach is not going to be able to bring back Mike Pennel just in order to cut him. So, that would mean that the Chiefs are probably, if they're going to acquire anyone at the trade deadline, going to be acquiring someone on the defensive line. I don't think running back, if you trade for a running back, who do you cut? Do you want to carry 4 running backs? Do you want to carry 5 running backs? No, you don't. Are you going to trade for a running back and then cut Isaiah Pacheco, your starter? No, you're not. Are you going to cut Kareem Hunt, maybe the best short yardage back in the NFL? No, you're not. Are you going to cut Brashard Smith, the guy who flashes as if he might be the next Jerick McKinnon, the next... You hate to say it, but some of the stuff that he does, Jamal Charles-esque. Obviously not the speed, hasn't shown that yet, but he does look like it from time to time. No, you're not going to cut Brashard Smith. So you're in a hard place as far as acquiring talent at the running back position. Still, Malik Herring was cut from maybe not the defensive tackle spot, but from the defensive line. And I think that if you were going to get another pass rusher, an edge player, you're going to be cutting a defensive player. You have Cooper McDonald that you can probably cut to make room. You have Kevin Knowles that is another UDFA. Maybe you decide even to trade Christian Fulton in order to get said edge player. So if you're moving on from Christian Fulton, who you haven't used all year, then it allows you the roster spot to bring in a defensive end, an edge player. So I think this is a heartwarming acquisition for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not an intriguing acquisition for the Kansas City Chiefs. We know exactly what we're getting with Mike Pennel. It is a high floor move by acquiring Mike Pennel. It is a low ceiling move to get Mike Pennel. So, it kind of goes with what they do, right? The Chiefs want to get rid of players only to reacquire them in semi-embarrassing fashion. That's what Bret Veach loves to do. That is all I have for this video. If you like, appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.